In the beginning, there was coffee.
Before coffee became the drink that fuels our mornings, it grew wild in the ancient highlands of Ethiopia. Here, more than 1,000 years ago, in the province of Kaffa, where some say coffee gets its very name, the first chapter of its story begins. Local legend speaks of a young goat herder named Kaldi. One day, Kaldi noticed his goats behaving strangely. They leapt, kicked, and danced with unusual energy, refusing to sleep long after the sun had set. The cause? Bright red berries from a shrub they had been nibbling on. Kaldi, curious and perhaps a little brave, decided to try them himself. Almost instantly, he felt alert, his fatigue melting away. Excited, he gathered a handful and ran to a nearby monastery. The monks were skeptical. Some say they threw the berries into the fire, only to be enchanted by the rich aroma rising from the roasted seeds. They raked the embers, ground the roasted beans, and brewed them into a dark, fragrant drink. The result? A beverage that helped them stay awake through long hours of evening prayer. Word of this miracle drink began to spread through the monasteries of Ethiopia. While the story of Kaldi is a legend passed down by oral tradition, historians agree that coffee plants are native to this region and that the people here were among the first to harness its energizing power. Whether through myth or fact, Ethiopia remains coffee's birthplace. From these highlands, the seeds of coffee's journey were planted. Seeds that would soon cross deserts, seas, and centuries, changing the world forever. By the 15th century, coffee had crossed the Red Sea into Yemen. Here, in the port city of Mocha, the drink evolved from a monastic aid into a cultural treasure. Sufi mystics in Yemen used coffee to stay awake through long nights of chanting and meditation. They called it kawa, a word that originally meant wine. To them, coffee was a spiritual wine, uplifting without clouding the mind. From Mocha, coffee spread across the Arabian Peninsula. But it wasn't just a drink. It became a ritual. Served strong, dark, and unsweetened, it was poured from tall brass pots into small cups, a tradition still alive today. Pilgrims traveling to Mecca carried coffee back to their homelands. Traders brought it north to Cairo and east to Persia. Soon the Ottomans adopted it, perfecting the art of brewing in small copper chevis. In the cities of the Middle East, coffeehouses, caffeine, became the beating hearts of society. Poets, merchants, musicians, and politicians gathered here to talk, debate, and share news. In a way, these were the world's first social media platforms, powered not by Wi-Fi but by caffeine. But coffee would not remain an Eastern secret for long. By the 17th century, it was ready to cross into Europe and spark a cultural revolution. Venetian traders were among the first Europeans to taste coffee, bringing it from Ottoman markets in the early 1600s. At first, not everyone was impressed. Some called it the bitter invention of Satan. But legend says Pope Clement VIII took a sip, declared it delicious, and baptized the drink, ensuring it was safe for Christian consumption. By the mid-1600s, coffee houses began popping up in England, France, and beyond. In London, for just 1 penny, you could buy a cup and spend hours in heated discussion. They became known as penny universities, where ideas were exchanged as freely as refill. Some of today's biggest institutions trace their roots to coffee houses. Lloyd's of London Insurance began at Edward Lloyd's Coffee House, and the London Stock Exchange grew from merchants meeting over cups of coffee. From Europe, coffee sailed across the Atlantic, setting the stage for its final transformation into a truly global commodity. European colonial powers quickly realized coffee's potential. They planted it in their colonies, Dutch in Java, French in the Caribbean, Portuguese in Brazil. The climate, soil, and scale of these plantations turned coffee into one of the world's most traded goods. By the 19th century, industrial roasting and grinding made coffee accessible to the masses. Brands like Folgers and Maxwell House turned it into a household staple. Today, coffee is more than a drink. It's a global language. Over 2 billion cups are consumed daily, from traditional Ethiopian ceremonies to fast-paced espresso shots in Italy to cold brews in New York. Born from wild berries in the highlands of Ethiopia, coffee traveled across continents, wove itself into cultures, and endured through centuries. Today, every cup is more than a drink. It's a chapter in a story still being written, one sip at a time.